The centrifugal soul is an idea by an evolutionary biologist, Jeffrey Mirror, and he writes about how we are projecting too much onto our exteriors, and this has become exaggerated because of things like social media, that we're curating our persona, how we appear to other people, and that we're spending too much time projecting ourselves onto this very thin surface. And meanwhile, there's this hole at our core where quality like dignity and reticence used to exist. But although we're becoming obsessed with artifice, with our superficial appearance, he says that this is not unusual that it is that way, because if you look at exotic birds of paradise, that's pretty much the way they survive. They have these very exotic feathers and very dynamic colours, and they do these very elaborate courtship dances in which they try to seduce the female. And for them, although it appears quite entertaining and superficial to have everything projected onto their exterior, if they don't mate, then their little gene line doesn't pass on. So for them, there's this desperate urge to find a mate to seduce them and then to procreate with them. So it's something that's apparently very superficial is actually like a part of our core kind of survival instincts. But that in the current climate, with things like social media, this is becoming a little bit exaggerated. So the work that I've made, Centrifugal Soul, is a three-dimensional zoetrope with flowers and these exotic birds of paradise. It spins round once every second, and each little model is like one frame in an animation. As it spins, a strobe flashes, so you get this illusion of animation. Although everything seems like this kind of beautiful bouquet of flowers, which is quite beguiling and entertaining to look at, there's this kind of desperation in this relentless cycle of performance that the birds have to do to try and attract a mate. Every element of the work is first designed in a computer. We choose the kind of birds that I want to work with and the flowers, and then we build them in 3D and then create a 1-second animation of each character. So we have a bird that flaps its wings one time, for example. That little three-dimensional film clip then gets chopped up into 18 different frames, and each of those frames is then 3D printed in a white nylon. The same for the twigs, the branches, the ground, everything's printed. Then all of those elements get painted by hand and varnished, and then everything is assembled onto this one armature using the format of a three-dimensional zoetrope. This is essentially a little bit like a Flickr book, so you have a lot of different images that are slightly different, and when you run them together you get the illusion of an animation